Last night I journeyed backwards in time to the medieval world of Dark Tower.
Happy 200th episode, everybody. And today, to celebrate, we are going to be reviewing the Grail game, Dark Tower. This game came out in 1981 from Milton Bradley, and it is for 2 to 4 players. Now, this box is actually rather cool. The top part of this box is smaller than the bottom part. On the bottom part, they have this really, really cool artwork. I'll just show it to you right over here. And the object of this game is you are going to be trying to defeat a big army of brigands that reside in the tower. Now, along the way, you're going to be traveling through 4 different kingdoms, trying to find keys, and you're also going to be fighting armies of brigands. You're going to have to be dealing with plague, getting lost, buying items from Bazaar, keeping your army fed, and also dealing with the dragon. A lot of things. So let's show you this collector's item, Dark Tower. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we will go ahead and start with the board and all of its components. We have a unique round board over here, and the tower is going to go right over here. You have 4 different kingdoms over here, and there's a warrior that you're going to place in each of the kingdoms depending on how many players there are. And in each kingdom there are 4 different buildings. You have the Bazaar over here, which is where you're going to be able to buy equipment and food and things of that nature. You've got the tomb over here, you have the ruin over here, and you have the sanctuary. Now, the tomb and the ruin are places where you can typically find treasures, but a lot of times you're going to end up fighting what are called brigands. They're the army that you're going to be fighting against in this game. The sanctuary, they will typically give you things if you're running low on certain items such as food or warriors and things of that nature. Right over here is the frontier. You're going to be able to cross over the frontier whenever you are able to find one of the keys that are in each kingdom. Now, in the kingdom you're going to start in, you're just simply going to be able to go over to the next frontier immediately. But as soon as you get to this one, you're going to have to find the key, and then you can cross over here. Then you'll find the key for this one, and then cross over here. And then once you have all 3 keys, you'll be able to go into the following frontier and then attack the Dark Tower. Okay, so right over here you have a pegboard, and there's 3 columns. There's the warrior column, the gold column, and the food column. And what you're going to be doing throughout the game is you're going to be using this to record how much of each of these 3 things that you have. So, for example, if you end up losing warriors in battle, and you have 10 and you end up losing 2 warriors, you'll go ahead and put 8. And you'll do the same with food and gold as well. Now, right here they have the scout, the beast, the sword, and the healer. Now, these 3 things you will be able to purchase in the Bazaar. The sword you will end up winning during a battle with brigands on occasion. Now, the first key and the second key and the third key are keys that you're going to be getting in each of the kingdoms. There's the brass key, there's a silver key, and the gold key. And there's 1 in each of the kingdoms. And once you get all 3 of these keys, this will allow you to try to invade the tower. So here we have the tower, and this is the electronic component that is basically going to keep track of everything in this game, and you're going to basically be issuing the different commands throughout this keypad. Now, the cool thing is this tower will actually spin over to the next player so that the player will be able to take his turn and no one will be able to see what he is doing. So let's go ahead and show you the different buttons that are on here. What you have here is yes, buy, and this is going to allow you to help buy things from the Bazaar, and it's also just a simple yes command. Repeat is going to repeat what happened the last time. No, this basically is going to help end your turn as well, and this will also just answer the yes/no questions that this game may give you. The Bazaar over here is you're going to hit this if you reach the Bazaar area, and if you want to go and buy stuff. Now, the haggle is unique. When you go to the Bazaar, you're going to be getting prices on different items, and you can actually try to haggle with the merchant to try to get the price to go lower. Clear will clear the last command that you put in there. You have the move button over here, and this is the main button that you're going to be using. You're just simply going to be moving throughout the board like one space adjacent to you, and whenever you do that, you're going to hit move, and there's a number of things that can happen when you hit this button, and I'll explain those later. Anytime you go to the tomb or the ruin, you'll hit this button. The sanctuary and the citadel, which is the same thing, you'll hit this button. The frontier, you'll hit this button anytime you reach the frontier area of the building. The Dark Tower button, you're going to hit whenever you are in the Dark Tower area and you're ready to attack it. And inventory will simply tell you what you have in your possession, and this basically will take a turn. Anyway, in the very beginning of the game, you'll turn it on, you'll see this little flashing thing, and you'll just simply hit any button, And then the thing's going to go ahead and do a little light check. And this is where you're going to go ahead and set the number of players and the difficulty level. So right now it's up to level 1. Now the differences are mainly the amount of brigands that are going to be in the tower that you're going to be facing. If you choose level 1, you're going to be facing, there'll be 17 to 32 brigands in the tower. If you do level 2, which is next, there will be 32 to 64 brigands in the tower. Level 3, there'll be 17 to 64 brigands in the tower. And level 4 is a special player one player version of this game. It basically just is there to help you learn the game and practice it a little bit before you actually go ahead and play. And now we're going to select the number of players, and you basically do the same thing. You can play a one-player game with this thing, which was cool too. So I'll go ahead and set that as well. And then the music starts, and you will be ready to play. Now there are a number of things that can happen when you move. And here's just a simple example. To move, all you'll do is just put your player one space adjacent to where you last were, and you will just simply hit the move button. Now there's a number of things that can happen. One thing that can happen is you'll move and you'll just simply hear a beep, which means you've moved safely to the next spot. Another thing that can happen is you can get lost. What lost basically means is that you don't know where you're going and you're going to have to go back to where you were. If you end up running into plague, this is not a good thing. This is going to end up taking 2 of your army people that you have. You can also run into the dragon. Now the dragon's a pretty bad dude. If he ends up attacking you and you don't have the sword to fend him off, which I'll talk about later, he's going to take 1/4 of your gold and 1/4 of your warriors. Another thing that can happen is you can end up facing an army of brigands, and when this happens, you're going to have the opportunity to battle them. You can also retreat if you would like to, just simply by holding the no end button. But if you end up battling the brigands and defeating that particular army, you can get rewarded with certain things. Another thing that can happen is you can get cursed by a wizard. Now the way this is going to happen is if an opposing player actually finds the wizard, and he'll find this by doing a battle with brigands and finding a treasure. But anyway, if he ends up cursing you with the wizard, that can also happen. And what is going to end up happening with that, you are going to end up losing 1/4 of your gold and warriors to the player that cursed you. So that's another pretty bad thing. Now fortunately, there are ways that you can counter these things, and this is by the items that you can get at the Bazaar. One thing that you will be able to get are the warriors. Now there'll be a number that'll show up in the display as far as the price goes, and you can of course haggle with the merchant if you would like to, but a warrior will add 1 soldier to your army. Another thing you can get is food, and food is going to be used obviously to help feed your warriors. Now food is very important in this game because the more warriors you have, the more food you're going to have to feed them throughout a turn. For every 15 warriors you have, you're going to have to feed them 1 food. So if you have 30 warriors, you're going to have to feed them 2 food per turn. So buying food is going to be important. Another thing you can get is the scout. Now the scout is going to help you anytime you get lost. If the tower says that you're lost and you have the scout, not only will you be able to move onto the space where you're on, but you will also be able to take another turn. There is also the healer. Now the healer will protect you against plague. If you have the healer when plague strikes, you're going to get 2 soldiers as a reward. There is also what is called the beast. Now the beast is going to help you with your gold. They can carry up to 50 gold. Now the warriors typically will carry the gold, and the more warriors you have, the more gold you'll be able to carry. But if you have the beast, you're not going to need as many warriors to carry so much gold. Now I'll go ahead and go over the rewards that you can get when you fight with the brigands. One thing you can get is what is called a Pegasus card. Now what the Pegasus card will allow you to do is, if you have the key to the next kingdom, you'll be able to fly from, say, over here to the frontier, and then from there you'll be able to fly to any building into the next kingdom. So this can be a very helpful little card, and once you use it, it's going to be out of play. Another thing you can find is the keys by fighting the brigands. That's one other treasure that you can get. You can also get gold. A lot of the way you're going to get gold is by fighting brigands as well. You can also receive the dragon sword this way. And if you end up killing the dragon with the dragon sword when he attacks you, you're going to essentially receive everything that he has picked up from other attacks. that he's done on other warriors. So you'll get all that if you have the dragon sword, but you're only going to be able to use the dragon sword once. So once it's gone, you'll have to get another dragon sword if he attacks you again. Now, whether or not you kill the dragon off, you're going to have control of the dragon piece over here. And basically what you can do with him is you can move him anywhere on the board except for the frontier or the Dark Tower area or any place with a building. So any space you move him to, say I moved him over here, you're not going to be able to go there. So you can actually use this piece to block other players. You can also get the wizard this way, and with the wizard you can go ahead and curse the other players. Okay, so let's just kind of show you a little bit what the tower does. Let's say I decide to move, and I'll hit the move button here. That's one thing that can happen. You can get lost. So I would go ahead and hit N. That would end my turn, and you would just give it to the next player. So let's say I decide to move again. And now it looks like I'm going to be having a chance to fight some brigands. And we got 9 brigands, and I have got 10 warriors. Now they're down to 4 brigands. I guess some of them ran away. So anyway, as you can tell, right now I'm beating them. And anytime I want to retreat, I could just simply hold this button down. And so I won this battle, and let's see what I get as a reward. So I got some gold, and that will end my turn. Alright, so let's say I decide I'm going to go to the Bazaar. Let's just show you how this works here. Okay, I've got warriors, and he is asking 8 gold. Let's just say I'm going to try to talk him down, see if that works. Okay, he's gone down to 7 gold, so that's good. So let's just say I wanted to buy the warriors. I'll go ahead and just hit yes and hit end. And then it's going to show me how much gold that I have left, and then I can end my turn there. Now, if you wanted to toggle through everything, all you would have to do is hit no, and then it'll toggle through everything that you can get. There's the beasts, there's the scout, and there's the healer. And you can just basically choose to purchase one of those things if you want to, and you just simply hit yes, buy whenever you are ready to buy it. Okay, so whenever you feel like you're ready to attack the Dark Tower, you'll just simply hit the Dark Tower button, and there'll be a little beep 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 thing going on. And then you're going to have to solve the riddle of the keys. And what the riddle of the keys essentially is you've got the 3 keys, and you have to insert them into the Dark Tower in a certain order. So let's just say I think the brass key is going to be first. And apparently in this case it is not. So on my next turn I'll be able to try to attack the Dark Tower again. Okay, so here's basically how the battle with the brigands is going to happen in the tower there. You'll see each number that each person has. Alright, I've won. And I have won the game. That's basically how the game works. You're going to just go through the different kingdoms. You're going to be looking around for things, collecting things, trying to keep your army alive, trying to get enough people in to attack the Dark Tower, all the while fighting off dragons and brigands and even the curses of the wizard that the other players are going to put on there. And whoever is able to defeat the brigands in the Dark Tower first is going to win the game. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Dark Tower. So, my final thoughts on Dark Tower. Well, this is a game that I have been wanting for a very long time, and this game typically goes for at least $200. And part of the reason why this game is so rare is because it was only released for maybe a couple of years. And what happened was there were 2 game developers that came up to Milton Bradley with an idea for a game, and I believe it was called Triumph. And the game had a little tower in the middle of this circular board, and there were some other rules as well. Anyway, Milton Bradley rejected their game, but a year or 2 later they made this game. Well, the 2 developers sued them for trademark infringement, and they ended up winning, and Milton Bradley had to pay them $750,000 as a result, and as a result of that, they never made the game again. So this is one of the reasons why this game is so rare. This game has got tremendous nostalgic value, and this game has a huge cult following. And just about everybody that had played this game as a kid will tell you how many fond memories they had of the game, how much they loved the game. And this game was so unique for its time. This is one of the first times a microchip was ever used in anything, in this particular game for sure. This game was just so far ahead of its time. There's never been a game made like this, even to this day. The tower itself is probably one of the coolest components that I've ever seen in a vintage board game. It's just, the design is cool, the artwork inside is cool, the carousel with all the pictures and how the tower basically controls everything and keeps track of everything is just beyond cool. Now, maybe not so much today, but back in 1981, this is about the time when Texas Instruments was coming out, and these were very prehistoric computers. So for a game like this to come out in that time period is astounding. And another reason why this game costs so much is because, you know, the towers nowadays, you have to try to find one with a working tower. A lot of times the towers don't work and you have to get them fixed. It could be missing parts. So there's a lot of reasons. Now, so how does this game stack up today? Well, now I never played this game as a kid. The first time I actually played this game was on an Android app. And I actually like playing the Android app. When I ended up getting this one, I kind of got lucky. I got this for about $130 on eBay, but the tower wasn't working, so I went ahead and had to get that fixed. And even today, for me, I like this game. How would gamers treat it today? Well, that really is a tough call because I guess it just depends on the kind of gamer you are. I really enjoy the tower. I love the electronics aspect behind it. I love the theme of the game. I love the fact that you've got to basically keep your army fed. You've got to try to fight off brigands. You've got to try to buy stuff from a bazaar. And just a lot of things can happen in this game. Now, when I played my wife on this, I guess on the easy level, that was challenging for me. But when I went up to the level where it's level 2, in the first 3 turns, I got hit by plague, I got lost, and then I got hit by a dragon. This is in the first 3 turns. Now, I'm not sure if it's more challenging in that aspect. I'm assuming that it is. But yeah, it can get hard trying to you know, balance out your army with the food that you have to take care of, and then battling with the brigands and all these other things. And then you have the curse of that wizard. Man, that can be a pain. My wife cursed me 4 times with that stupid thing. And anyway, she ended up winning the game, but it took her a couple of times of invading the tower before she got it. This is a very cool game. Now, for the money, I probably would not get this game if you're like kind of so-so about it. I would just simply stick with the app. But I kind of like to collect the older vintage board games, and I think that people would still like this game today. I know my chiropractor, he just has the tower to this game, and his kids love it. They don't even play the game with the board, the pieces. They just play the tower, and they still love it. And they're probably about teenagers right now. So I think definitely this would be a game I would try at least once if you could before you decided to go ahead and buy it. Every so often, you might end up finding this game for under $150. You just never know. Typically, it goes for about $200 to $300. But would I recommend playing it? If you could find it for a good deal, yeah. Maybe if you could find it for under $100, I would consider getting it. But it's a tough call. Because I don't play this game very often. I mean, it's not one that I would pick out every single day. And I also noticed too, I usually employ the same strategies too. I'm always going to get a healer first, and then later on I'm going to go ahead and get a scout, because that's always going to help you along the way. But one thing you can do if you wanted to make this game more difficult is just say, okay, you're not allowed to buy a healer this game. That is going to make the game really hard. Or you could say, well, nobody can buy a scout. And again, that would increase the difficulty. So there are things you can do with this game. But as far as the game goes, I think as a vintage game, this is probably one of the coolest games that I've ever seen. And I enjoy playing it. It's a fun game. My wife enjoys it. This is a great piece of history for sure. Definitely a collector's item. And if you're a fan of the game as a kid, you may want to consider picking this up if you can afford it. For people who have never played the game, I would probably try to find somebody that has this game and try it out first to see if you want to make such a purchase. For sure, this game is probably never going to go down in value, and you'll always be able to resell it, I believe. So anyway, guys, that is my review of Dark Tower. Y'all have a great day. Keep on gaming. We'll see you later.